May an individual be convicted under the law of parties for an offense committed by a co-principal when the actor did not intend for that offense to occur? Suppose that John, Jim, and Eric have planned to burglarize a department store during the nighttime while the store is closed. John and Jim are going to be responsible for bypassing the security system and figuring a way into the building, and they leave Eric in charge of stealing a delivery truck that can be backed up to the loading dock so that they can carry away the stolen merchandise. John and Jim warn Eric not to bring any attention to himself while still in the truck, and to only take a vehicle that is unattended. However, while Eric is stealing the truck, a security guard catches him, and to keep him from calling the police, Eric kills the security guard. So the question is, are John and Jim culpable for the murder of that security guard? And we'll look at Section 7.02b of the Texas Penal Code, and that section reads that co-principals are responsible for acts that are in furtherance of the unlawful purpose. In this case, the unlawful purpose is the burglary, so the question becomes, was the stealing of the vehicle in furtherance of that unlawful purpose? Could the offense be carried out, or would the plan be accomplished without that action, the stealing of the vehicle? And in this case, we would say, no, it's very clearly a part of that plan. It's part of the target offense of burglary. They need the truck to carry away the merchandise. So then the question is, Section 7.02b requires that the act committed by the co-principal be one that should have been anticipated as a result of carrying out the conspiracy. So the question is, should John and Jim have anticipated the death of the security guard? If we look at the likelihood of violence in any given scenario, we would suggest that it increased when a capable guardian is present to defend property against possible misappropriation. In this case, the state's going to have a very strong case that John and Jim should have anticipated the possibility of a violent confrontation when they asked Eric to steal a vehicle. And if they should have anticipated the violent confrontation, they should have anticipated the possible outcome. So therefore, they would be culpable in that offense, even though they didn't intend to have that offense committed, and they even explicitly warned Eric against that possibility. To change the scenario a little bit, let's say that Eric, as he's returning from stealing the vehicle, he sees his ex-girlfriend walking down the sidewalk. He lures her into the back of the truck, and he sexually assaults her in revenge for breaking off the relationship. Should John and Jim have anticipated that sexual assault? In the case of the second scenario, it really wouldn't matter whether they should have anticipated or not, because we would look at the second part of that requirement and step aside from the anticipation and just look at whether or not the sexual assault is in furtherance of the conspiracy. Does that sexual assault have anything to do with furthering the commission of the burglary of the department store? So in this case, we would probably say no, it doesn't. And while John and Jim are probably not responsible for the sexual assault, they would have been responsible for the murder in the initial example.